everyone, this is Big Entertainment and we're back again, and here we have another video for you, and we're just going to give some quick thoughts on Avatar, the movies and the franchise as a whole, and why it doesn't carry or have the cultural impact within entertainment that many people would assume it would have. Now there could be spoilers here throughout for all of the Avatar movies, so just beware when going to this overall video. So this question and debate has arisen after the recent release of the third Avatar movie, Fire and Ash, and analysing both the critical reception and opening box office numbers. Within its first weekend of release, the movie had a huge 345 million global opening, which, whilst was down on the second movie's take of around 424 million, is still a major success and no doubt will help the movie to gross at least $1.5 to $2 billion worldwide. But for some reason, the Avatar movies overall have never carried a cultural longevity or resonance or indeed legacy, despite the multi-billion-dollar grosses. They seem for the most part to just come out, make their money, and then be forgotten shortly afterwards, with no references to any particular scenes or sequences or dialogue or performances. But to establish this debate, we first need to talk about a movie cultural impact or legacy. And what exactly do we mean when we use that term? Well, essentially, the film has to have connected on some level to a mainstream or general audience, whether it's a movie fan base or a non-movie fan base. And that audience, in some capacity, will resonate or be inspired by that film. The movie will live long in terms of a memory of a whole entire generation of people who can quote easily a certain scene, a certain image or line of dialogue or musical soundtrack, and as soon as you mention the movie's name, everybody all over the world will instantly know what it is, what you're talking about, and be able to say how the film has impacted them in some way, shape or form. The movie, when it comes out, breaks new ground. It sets a new trend that all other movies and television series and animation etc. follow. And in many ways, it changes the face of entertainment at the time that it comes out and long after it's released. So the obvious go-to examples that come to my mind and most other movie fans straight away would be, of course, the original Star Wars trilogy that may still remain the most cultural, impactful series or IP still within certainly at least the 20th century. We look at the Godfather movies, especially the first film, which without question set the standard for what a contemporary gangster movie could be at the time. Superman 1978 opened the doors for what a live-action, big-budget superhero movie would look like within cinema, and how it could be done on a serious level with a large scope and certain grandeur. And it still remains the greatest live-action interpretation of the character, and of course there we mentioned the immortal Christopher Reeve. We look at the Rocky saga, which transcended so much that the actual sport of boxing inducted the fictional character of Rocky into their Hall of Fame. And that is a pure example of what you call a true crossing over, that something fictional can have a certain impact on something that is real. And you only have to talk to many boxers within the sport, and they will often cite the Rocky films as what inspired them to take into the sport of boxing in the first place. Tim Burton's Batman of 1989 set the dark, gothic, brooding blueprint for comic book movies that we would see right throughout the early to mid 1990s decade. The Matrix, with its iconic bullet time sequence and its fusion of science fiction and martial arts, helped set a new level of action movie making again that we would see right throughout the 2000s decade. Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings brought back the fantasy trilogy to unparalleled new heights and cemented itself as still the greatest cinematic trilogy ever within movies. And whilst the franchise is in clear decline now, nobody can deny that the Marvel Cinematic Universe in its first 3 phases completely changed the landscape of media and entertainment. First of all, making it socially acceptable to like comics. Within mainstream culture, it took B-list characters such as Iron Man, Captain America and Thor and made them every bit as culturally renowned as Superman, Spider-Man and Batman. Fueled by the never-ending end credit stingers, which was an innovation at the time, this was the first fully interconnected movie universe and was sustained for at least over 10 years in terms of a high quality and almost a universal love and recognition, again, with both fans and non-fans, and will likely not see anything of its kind ever again. So after going through all of those examples, we asked the question, does Avatar have anywhere near the same impact as those previous iterations? And the simple answer is no. In no way, in any shape or form, do we look back fondly on the Avatar movies as previous successful franchises. And with the first movie coming out way back in 2009, nearly almost 15 years ago, I think that is a suitable amount of time to really take a look back and judge the Avatar movies from a distance and assess their overall impact within culture. Now, some people will argue, well, what does it matter? The movies regularly rake in over $2 billion, which allows the creator and director James Cameron to do exactly what he wants, so he won't necessarily care about whether these movies are culturally impactful or not. Though we could counter that argument and ask as to whether Avatar as a franchise should have really had a larger cultural impact than what it has turned out to be. And as a new non-sequel, non-IP, non-adaptation, the Avatar films should have really set a trend to encourage studios to make more original works. It perhaps should have been the next Star Wars or the Lord of the Rings for the current movie-going generation. But it hasn't turned out to be. In hindsight, when we look at the films, the main legacy was that it managed to set a trend of quick post 3D conversions of movies that were essentially trying to cash in on the boom of the 3D innovation, but of course weren't willing to take the long amount of time and preparation to film in the true 3D aesthetic that James Cameron took with these films. And that's really, in terms of my opinion, what I see the Avatar movies as. Very much more of a visual exhibition, almost like a CGI animation showcase. I've cited the films much more as a theme park that people go to at the time to enjoy the ride and then jump off and never pay to go back to it again. And yes, the movie blockbuster has in some way, shape or form embodied the idea of being a theme park or a blockbuster ride, providing many thrills and excitement for people to be engaged in. But the best examples always have the story and the characterization to back up the effects and the action and the thrills. And that's what makes them resonate so much. It is the story, it is the characters that people are aspired to, that they latch on to, and in many ways aspire to become, and use the characterization as inspiration to achieve or try to achieve great things in their lives. And I really don't see the Avatar films having that same type of inspiration or awe or wonder outside of the effects. And overall, really, the Avatar films, when we look at it, they may continue to gross $2 billion worldwide, but they won't have the same real resonance and cultural impact I certainly think they should do, and nowhere near as the resonance as what we've seen with the iconic franchises that we have experienced certainly over the last 30 to 40 years. So those are my other thoughts and feelings when asking the question as to why the Avatar movies don't carry the cultural impact despite being hugely financially successful. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any other further movies, television series, or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.